All right, friends, welcome back to Haunt After Hours, where we cover all things related to haunt production and pay tribute to the work, chaos, and fun that go on behind the scenes. I'm Heartless Heather, and I have with us a special guest tonight. We've got Anthony. He runs the Louisiana Ranch of Horror. Ran it. And we'll all say hey.
Hey.
I also...
I don't know who's the Unicorn Princess Haunter. That's what I'm reading. Yeah. Unicorn Princess. Is that you or Anthony?
That's Heather.
I put it on as his name. There's a backstory to that, but let me get through the introductions and then I'll share that. I've got Molly Poppins.
Hey.
Director Gary.
Hey.
Nanny Janny.
Hi, my pretty little pets.
And Big Ant.
Hey, everyone.
All right, so our screen name is popping up as Unicorn Princess Hunter because I've got my special guest here with us tonight. We're going to be talking about no-shows and people that just is, I mean, in any walk of life, whether you're at the haunt or anything you do for a living, it really puts a little kink in the night or in the shift when somebody decides not to show up for their scheduled position. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like the last few weeks of podcasts, and we had like people just decide not to show up, and it wasn't going to just be the Gary show. So
yeah, that would be great. I was going to play all the parts.
My little screen name is Unicorn Princess Haunter. A few years ago, we had a guy come from another haunt to work with us, and he actually ended up, my sister-in-law ended up firing him. He kind of creeped some girls out, and at the end of the season, he sent us a letter. Or I think it was before the next season, but he sent us a message and it said, you call yourself Ranch of Horrors. It's more like Ranch of Rainbows and Butterflies, you little unicorn princesses. So, now we're just owning the name.
Love it.
Anyway, sometimes you get hate mail from people like that. Not very. I don't feel like we've had that many people that walk away just not loving us, but some cast members get their panties in a bunch sometimes, and we just got to work through it. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about no shows tonight and how to work through that and how to navigate through that. But before we get into that, Nanny Jenny, let's talk about it.
Hey, I just have a quick blurb I want to put out there. You know, we always say if you call upon our haunters, I know Gary had some things going on. I said, why didn't you call the ROH crew, That's a Horror crew? You know, they would have helped out because that's really what they do on the off season. Anybody needs help, they work together. You know, we do a lot of outside projects or, you know, whether it's the parades. Most everything we're doing is out in the sun. We don't have the comforts of being inside a huge warehouse with air conditioning and what have you not. And, you know, our crew just really gets together and performs good, especially under pressure. But there's actually the health benefits. You know, we always joke around like, why do we get all the crazy ones on our staff or whatever? But our crazies, we all bring our own crazy to it. And it's not just our staff, like myself, Miss Heather, Molly's a little bit wild too, crazy too. You know, we all have these different.
You left out 2 words, bat shit.
Right.
We all have these different, you know, types and we all bring something different. But, you know, we have some of the guys that we work with too. We're like, okay, he's missing a screw, but he does this great or what have you not. And really, when it comes down to it, our team, like most builders teams that we hear from the haunt world, they say, yeah, they just come together. Well, you know what I'm finding out is in the sun actually has a lot of benefits for us. And the sun is good for depression and anxiety. And I know that we have that with half of our staff members that work with us go through something through the season. Like it's like there's always an up and down. And it's like, you know, we don't know what it is, but during the season when we're working hard out in the sun, well, this is why it has all these benefits. It has, you know, works on bone stiffness, arthritis, fibromyalgia, depression and anxiety really is what stuck in my mind. And then, it says weight loss, you know, being in the sun or tanning increases weight loss. And I really should be skinny if that's the truth. You know, the people here in Louisiana, but I don't know how that really fits in. But I just thought it was really cool when I just learned this. I was like, oh, that's why all our crazies come together and work so good together. Because we're out in the sun 90% of the time where we're doing our build. And It's because
bringing out the
we're
best
together, and it works on our anxiety and our depressions and our other mental illness. The help being out in the sun helps all those. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Maybe everybody knew that except for me. I don't know, but we always say, like, man, our team really works. So how do we do so many different personalities? You get 100 of them out there building, or we have a really good staff of probably 25 that's out there for every build. And that's why, because the sun increases all our good moods and happiness.
I think it's because we are in the middle of Louisiana and the Central Valley of California. We're just trying to get the hell out of the heat. Real quick.
I think for your California staff, I think that secretly they're meeting up with Cody with the K behind buildings, and that's how you get all the good.
I feel like you might have just cracked the why do so many haunters during haunt season fall in love code. Maybe it's like they're depressed all the rest of the time year round. You get them out in the sun those few weeks during haunt build, and they're just all their endorphins are pumping. Super happy.
I see a book in the making of all the moods that go through haunt season.
A book? Yeah, I see a comic book in the making.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. Big Ant, do you have a boo story of the day?
I do have a boo story of the day. So I'm going to take us back to 2011. 2011, let me see here. I had his name. James Russell is our hero of the day. James was an occupant of the Olympic Correction Center in Washington, and he decided that he no longer wanted to be there. So he wanted to go ahead and escape. And he actually made a pretty clean getaway of it, according to the article that I have here, until he found himself alone in the woods. Evidently, this is surrounded by wooded area, and he was alone in the woods walking for what seems to be quite some time. And he came upon a cabin. Now, he was by himself out in the middle of the woods in a cabin, and there's a cabin. So he thinks, well, maybe somebody in there, they have food, they have water, they might have a cell phone. I can call, have somebody come pick me up or whatever, right? He's a free man now. So he approaches the cabin, and as most of these guys in these stories, karma sort of hit him. See, alone in that cabin was one of the guards from the prison that he had just escaped.
Oh.
And he was very quickly reapprehended and on his way back.
God.
Jeez.
I wonder
There's
what
our
his head.
story.
He gets in that cabin and just, oh no.
I feel like
Yeah.
we should name your segment a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. As I was picturing stabbing Kevin as he's
Me
explaining.
too. I said stabbing Kevin.
Here
Yeah,
in
I figured this group would have a complete different mindset
Anthony
on this.
is one of the co-owners of the escape rooms that we have here, and we approach one of them is stabbing.
Hey,
Kevin.
turn your camera around and show them.
It's not a back
Tur-
here.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys were sitting out front. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So we're actually residing at Ant's place here for a few days. His oldest son, Brock, turned 2 the other day.
Right.
And we missed his birthday, but we made it the next day and had some fun with him. So we're spending a couple of days with him.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the bulk of the story. So we're talking about people who don't show up. But before we get too far into that, I don't feel like I gave Anthony a really good introduction. Anthony, tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest boy in the family. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself in the haunt world. Introduce yourself to the
I
haunt
guess
listener.
so I just do the behind the scenes, and I help run the zombie escape. That's my baby.
He's one hell of a drill sergeant for both the zombie escape and Contagion. A lot of people really liked his personality that he played on Contagion when he was the lead on the back of the truck. So
Yeah, it adds to the excitement of the ride, I feel. So you just got to be energetic and treat them like a real drill sergeant would treat them. So it helps when you've been through it.
And I have to say this. I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but years ago, all my boys are kind of good looking. They're all good looking. Years ago, we were in the we were in a different town over from where we lived, and we were in the bathroom at a Target. And I think it was Heather and I was in there. We heard some girls talking about Anthony Regallo, like how dreamy he was or whatever they were saying. And I came out of the stall and I said, are you guys talking about Anthony and Regallo? And they're like, yeah, do you know? I'm like, oh, God, Lord. So I'll always remember that story because it was kind of funny. Yeah.
Did you tell him that you're his mother?
I don't remember if I did or not. I probably added something to the story.
You got to be careful with that word dreamy, because I feel like Heather's description of what the word dreamy means and everyone else is two different things. So, I mean, just saying.
Right. Well, then by the time Travis came around, we was hearing it all the time. Oh, Travis. I'm like, oh, my God. Boys,
So Anthony, you have not been on an episode.
So you haven't. So what you're saying is you haven't heard anybody say choreo dreamy.
Yeah.
actually, at the church, yes. And appropriate things sometimes, but
At the
Oh,
church,
yeah.
appropriate things at
no,
the
I
church.
just for the church, but
Mhm.
not really.
What were you
So-
asking?
Don't give me a
So you have not been on a podcast yet. This is your first one.
Yeah, this is my first one.
Yeah. Okay. So
I thought he was on
not.
in the beginning. Never, ever, even on the voice one.
I know.
I don't think so. So, we have talked, I think we talked about him before. He was in an industrial accident and was actually crushed at the waist. And they thought he would not, actually, they thought he weren't going to live. And how desperate it was his where his accident was 20-minute drive in a car to the hospital. So an ambulance could have made it in half that time. They chose to care flight him. That's how bad he was. And when they finally decided that he was well enough, he was strong enough at that point to continue with some surgeries, they told us to not have hopes of him ever walking again. But he healed up perfectly. He's got a little pimp walk to him. But if you didn't know that he had the accident, you'd never know.
Yeah, I met him when we were at some restaurant. It was Janice, Molly, and Heather and him, and I couldn't tell that he'd ever been in an accident.
Yeah.
I don't know what restaurant we were at.
Ant used to work out pretty well. He was in the Coast Guard, and at this particular junction, he was into some jiu-jitsu practice and what have you not. And had he not been in the condition that he was during that accident, a guy like me would never have survived. So it was a miracle. So he's sort of our miracle boy at this point. And we were concerned. There was a lot of concern about him being able to start a family, but they got two wonderful little boys now. So he's, anyways, that's sort of the background with Ant. Ant runs our Louisiana location. He does the build. He runs the build team for our Louisiana location.
Isn't Anthony in his accident like the whole reason that you guys started the ranch?
Well, a few years
Right.
before his accident, we were gonna be starting a haunt, and we just didn't. We kind of just sat on it and had like a floor plan built out of ideas. And after his accident, I think we've talked about this before. Literally the day before his accident, a couple of my siblings and my parents put together a bunch of money. We were going to be buying into a jewelry business. And so we put everything we had into this business. And the very next morning they called and said he's in this accident and we need to get to Louisiana. And you couldn't find a ticket that was under $1,400 a person. And none of us just had that money to send everybody to Louisiana. So we just were dumbstruck. We didn't know what to do.
We just put everything
The
together.
following, after his accident happened October 22nd. And the following year, then some relatives of ours said, we've been wanting to do this together. We've been talking about doing this haunt the last couple of years. Let's do it this year. And if nothing else, we'll put it towards recouping some of the money. Because at that point, then Janice had tons of travel expenses. And ended up in quite a bit of debt because she was going back and forth throughout the year, to make sure, because he spent a lot of time in the hospital. It wasn't like he was out the next week. You were there for several months.
Yeah, months. Yeah. But anyways, he's alive and well, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
You have to give some of
But
that
yeah,
credit. to
but yes,
Cameron.
he definitely jumpstart. His accident jump-started it. Had he not had the accident, we might have still been sitting on it for. So I think we would have eventually done it, but that definitely helped kickstart. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, then they just said, let's do it as a
We just
fundraiser
needed
to help,
something
but then
else
it
to
cost
focus
us more
on,
to
I
put it on.
Yeah.
Then it cost us more to put it on than we made that.
Yeah,
because that
it
was
sure
the first
did. I
year.
think
So it's
it's
like,
a good thing for this. But I think we just needed, but it was giving us something else to focus on than focus
Right.
on that.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's true.
but it blossomed from there, and it really did. So COVID hit. But I want to go back to, because I said this and I got kind of blurred out. We got to give a lot of credit to Anthony's healing, and his person was Tamara and was right by his side all the way. They have a little saying that they say, and I just don't remember what it was, but
Every step.
every step, yeah.
I'm about to get stung by some kind of flying thing.
She keeps looking.
Welcome to Louisiana.
There's something buzzing around me, and it's huge. And
We were in a
He does-
restaurant
He
last
does
night.
1,000 bees.
Kason jumped up on a chair, Kason jumped up on his chair and literally screamed like a little girl.
the roach is like that big.
There was a cockroach. It was
Well,
huge.
Not here.
Jensen, our 2-year-old, the 2-year-old popped up and said, it's as big as a pet.
Dude, we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, and Kenslin's seen it first, and there's a bug. It's as big as a pet. And I'm like, as big as a pet. And I thought maybe
You know you're in the
now.
South.
That's
That's
funny.
And
It was
I
big
kinda
as Tamara's foot that she stepped on, I'm telling you. I said,
No, I have literally seen when Chris and I first started dating, I went to his house, and his washer and dryer were outside in his apartment. They had like a little patio, and we were stuck in a closet. And I was getting something out of the washer for him, and I'm not kidding. It was the size of a foot, and it was a cockroach, and it was the size of a foot. Like, it was huge. I could not believe what I was seeing. But that's the South for you. If you're listening and you haven't visited, don't. It's especially creepy. It's especially creepy when you have a haunt, like a haunt through the woods here, because there's, in addition to your actors that you have out there, like there's literally things that can kill you, like that are just.
Yeah.
the little frogs.
That's what I said. That's one thing about Louisiana. I've never understood the attraction for people moving to this state, because everything here wants to kill you, from the weather to the snakes to the alligators, you name it.
To the frogs.
Sometimes the people themselves.
Yeah. Everything's edible. Everything's edible.
If you can shoot it, you can eat it.
Yes.
And he does eat, like he eats it all. He's been here too long. You're like, what? It's just cockroach. It's fine.
I'll dip it in chocolate. It's delicious.
Yeah, that's what he's like. When Tamara stepped on it, he's like, yes, take it home for that salsa we made. I'm like,
I said 2005, 2007, I was deployed here. I said, I would never go back to Louisiana again. And then my kids put it there.
Oh,
I really like it.
All the way.
A lot. It just got really hot. I just had a chance to, I felt, I don't know why we moved to Tennessee kind of on a whim.
you had a chance. You were on the right track. You had a chance to get out. Yeah.
No, I thought it was going to be better for my children. I had no support system I mean, I had my brothers and stuff here, but it's just not the same as having.
So you moved to a state where absolutely nobody lives. Yeah, that's
well, Chris's
good support
parents live
system.
there. I thought that my kids needed that. So, anyways.
I think everybody's right where they need to be now. So
I'll be in Tennessee in July 10th through 13th, I think.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Memphis,
Oh, why are you in Memphis?
for the Joe Bob Film Festival. We know if we got chosen on the 24th of this month.
Yeah,
Oh, that's exciting.
Check out, see what everybody else made, even if we don't.
yeah.
oh, we might be in Tennessee then too. Then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a fun time.
sometimes if you just show up and make your presence known, that kind of helps too. Like, rub elbows with people.
Well, if nothing else, network with the people in the industry, and that's
Yeah,
you
but
get some
we could
ideas.
show up as his fan club or his groupies or something. Do you know who that is? It's
Or-
Jimmy Gary.
If we're
You can
really
get shirts
into
with
it,
his
we
name
might
on
even
it.
put protest signs up if you don't make it. We'll just
Yeah.
have Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, man, any advertisement's good. It'll be fun though, because there's a lot of people I've met online, filmmakers and whatnot that are going to be there. And they're just like independent filmmakers, like we are. And so it'll be neat to finally actually get to meet those people in person.
How do we get tickets to this?
I can send you guys the link.
Oh, wait a minute. This is, what month are we in?
We're in May, end of May.
And that's May 24th?
July.
No,
July.
no,
June 24th.
No,
Oh, you said July 11th
no.
and 13th.
Right. So June 24th is when we get a notification saying if our film was accepted into the film festival. So they're going to take
June 24th is when you find out.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know for sure. But I already bought my ticket because I'm going regardless.
Awesome.
And it plays the 10th, 11th, and 13th, I think, or 10th, 11th, and 12th, something like that. I'll have to look again.
And it's open to the public. We can all go.
Yeah. There's only one day that they're showing the films, and it's the last day. I think it's a Monday, whatever that is in July. But you have to buy your tickets in advance. But they're not terribly expensive. But they could possibly sell out. I don't know.
Well, so director Gary shot the short film. I don't know if we've ever shared it on our Haunt After Hours, but we're going to share it on our Facebook page. And we'll link it to our Facebook page. So he submitted to a film festival, and now whether it gets accepted or not, he's going to network. And if it gets accepted, the rest of us will be there to support.
I hope so. We'll see what happens. We did a good job. We followed the rules. I thought we did really well. So we'll see what happens.
I thought it was real fun to watch. Like I said, I thought, the acting was superiorly bad, but
What do you expect?
It was not.
no, I'm teasing because Travis starred in it. I'm just sort of giving him a hard time. It really was it was a cute film, and I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
My favorite part was the ending. It really was. I thought that was hilarious.
When it was over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, the credits.
Thank goodness.
I'm so excited.
Now I can go on with my life. And all right. So we're dealing with no shows. So just even our podcast, the last few weeks, it's just been chaotic trying to get us all grouped together. It does make a big difference if just one person is missing from the dynamic, and that's just with a tiny little podcast. Now, when we do our big haunt production, like our larger areas where we have like 13 attractions and we have over hundreds of cast members, sometimes when one person's missing, you can kind of fill them in with others. But in our smaller location, like Louisiana had 2 attractions and maybe 40 cast members, it's a big difference when one person is missing. And the problem that we have in the haunt industry is a lot of times they come in groups. It's not just one person's missing. It's like the whole family is missing.
Yeah, they're riding together, and you got 5 people gone now.
Yeah, we have one attraction actually that it would never start on time because one guy brought all 12 people.
And one didn't show up. Like there was one night where it was me, Molly, Chris, Travis. We all had to dress up and go do zombie escape because they weren't there.
Nobody was there. Nobody.
Yeah, that's not. So we had one situation in California one year where we had this guy did an amazing job the previous year setting up inside of our main haunt and did a wonderful job. And he wanted to expand, and we thought, okay, well, let's let him grow. He had an image. It didn't really fit what we were going for, but we let him his creativity come to life, and we let him put this one scene together. And he took up a huge amount of the area that we were given. And about halfway through the season, he decided to just stop showing up altogether. And so here we have this huge area with nothing in it. And so we had to make a real quick change a couple of times, but we all made it work. I mean, you make it work. You just make it work. But no shows definitely, especially this one, he created quite the stir for us.
There was there's another haunt locally here in Louisiana, and they have it in their contracts that if you miss a day, you void your contract. Well, I mean, I guess that works. I mean,
we have that in our contract too. We're family oriented and we understand. We've always been very, I think it's, we lend a sympathetic ear, and I think we've let people kind of walk over us. And I think we needed to be a little bit stricter.
Yeah, we definitely are not as strict as we should be, but there's just a fine line, because how do you not pay somebody for showing up for the days that they did show up? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't.
I feel in California, you're setting yourself up for an issue. Whereas in Louisiana, you could probably get away with it because of the labor laws. So if they're there, I'm going to pay them. Even if I have to fire them, I'm going to give them the money that's owed to them. And we've had to do that a time or two, but I would not ever not give somebody the money that's owed to them to the point. I wouldn't give them the entire contract. But
yeah, now we do have somebody that actually came to work before us, and he said, no, I didn't get paid. I missed Halloween. I didn't get paid. Well, and that just kills me. Not that he didn't get paid. What kills me is, when you sign up to work for a haunt, that Halloween is going to be a mandatory, like, it's a day you have to be there. And all the people that don't think that they can not come in on Halloween were like,
So the people who don't come in, they still expect to get paid for the day they didn't come in?
No, none of them have argued. No, we've never had a situation where they've argued. That'd be like you, going to work and thinking that you're going to get paid for not showing up. No.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't hire everybody at the haunt, because we hired, like Heather said before, we have 100 plus. At one year, we had 130 cast members. So that's it's a huge undertaking to hire and manage all those people. That being said, the people that I did bring into the organization, I will tell you, I was very clear that if you missed Halloween, do not. There were bonuses that were paid out that you don't get that bonus. You'll get your pay that we owe you, but you can forget about the up. And sometimes that doubles or triples their pay.
Right.
So
I feel like that's a good incentive to try to get people to stick to their agreed upon dates, especially when we're in such a you're most of the season, you're maybe working 16 days throughout the month. So I do think that the bonuses help to keep them, but we do have every single year. Well, I had prom or what is it? Homecoming is what's during haunt season.
Yeah, I was gonna say not prom.
But we didn't eat, like, whatever. There's always some kind of crazy excuse, and we just had to be very firm across the board. Like, the bonus goes. If you miss or you're late, the bonus goes. Yeah. And sometimes if it's me, I stretch that. If you're late, Molly, she's like, no, you're late. You're done. Your bonus is done.
You're 5 minutes. Yeah. So throughout the years, we've learned little tricks, like a lot of the actors that come in are high school age actors. Don't bring on football players to be in a starring role, because football players will not be there Friday nights. They have football games. Cheerleaders are the same, a band. If they're in the band, they got to be, and you want to encourage that. Look, I want to encourage people who are in the band, who are cheerleading, who are football players, go do your sports, do that. But don't come in and apply for a position that you're required to be there those nights either. And so, if we have positions for them that we can do without them on a Friday night. Filler spaces, exactly. Yeah, if we can do without them on a Friday night, then fine, we'll bring them in. But if they cannot play a major role in the haunt, that's just something they can't do. And at that point, their bonuses, we adjust the bonus program to their schedules, but they're still stuck to a schedule.
In our program, in our organization, if it's written in their contract beforehand that they'll miss a day, or that this will be, and we know ahead of time, then we know to prep for it ahead of time, then it doesn't void their bonus at the end of the season. But it will void their bonus if they if it's just a no call, no show. Obviously, that's termination. If it's last minute, there's nothing more frustrating than having a line of people at the gate and you're ready to open up and you got cast just not in their spots and you're trying to fill with whoever you can fill with, pulling from the ticket booth just to go pop out. Like
Yes.
And what's worse than that, if you have somebody from the ticket booth, because remember in California, our bigger sites, we have 4 to 6 people in that ticket booth at a time. And you got somebody that calls in or doesn't even show, because we had that twice with the same person. So we never brought her back, where she didn't show up twice. And it's like, you need those people because, I don't always have time to be in the ticket booth. So it's just crazy.
I mean, the ticket booth is an extraordinarily hard position anyway, because if we're doing 1,000 to 1,200 people a night coming through there, you're not getting them if you're not selling them the ticket, and they're not going to wait in line for 3 hours while the one cashier. This isn't a Walmart. We got more than one cashier.
And we have really good cashiers that work for us. And I think Molly and I and Heather are both really good when we see the line. Even Travis, when we see the line is extremely long, like we'll run out there and just blow some tickets out of the line, like do an all pass and, do the fast track or whatever. And, do a great deal on them just to clear the line because, if you don't want people fussing.
We scalp in our own lines.
Yeah, we scalp. We don't allow other people to do it. We will.
Well, the one thing about it is you go out there and anybody who's got cash, but I will tell you that we have freaked out our security team year after year after year because they do not like us in line doing cash sales. And believe me, I understand that. I don't want to put ourselves at risk doing that either, but.
But there is something to say about people that do not want to wait in line and want to just buy. So if you are looking for an upsell and you got 300 people in your line, go for it because there's something to be said about that they will upgrade to a bigger pass just because they can buy it right now. They don't have to wait in that long line.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
I have a question about tickets. Can they buy tickets online and print them out themselves?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of the programs now are going to like the QR codes on your
QR
phone.
code. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're in the haunt industry and you haven't researched those, do yourself a favor and do it because we actually had it set up and we never were able to get the right equipment out there because you have to have, an iPhone, you have to have somebody who has access to that. But we actually had it 1 year where we were going to anyway, where they could buy their ticket online and instead of coming in and exchanging that, they could just go straight to that attraction and then scan the QR code.
Actually, with our Groupons, it's changed a lot from when we first started to now, because now you can you don't even need to have any special app or anything to scan. You just hit redeem, but once it's redeemed, so they can't argue that it hasn't been.
Now, here's another question about tickets. Now, I might be remembering wrong because it's been a while. But if I remember right, do your tickets change color or something like that every year so people can't bring in fraudulent tickets? Yes. So I am remembering right. Okay.
Yeah, we change it up quite a bit. We buy the tickets in advance. I mean, that's a small expense for us. I mean, we have a few, I shouldn't say it's a real small expense. I mean, it cost us probably $400 or $500 to do tickets every year. But it's in the whole general scheme of everything. I mean, you're talking, we're talking 6 figures to put this thing on. That's a small expense, but it's definitely a necessity because we do have people that will not necessarily. Am I afraid that somebody's found a ticket on the ground and then brings it back next year? I'm more concerned that there's somebody out there who's printing our tickets.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because we've had that happen. So
we've had when we first started, we've come a long ways from our first year. But our first year, we were just getting like the little roll from Staples. Right, we're out in the middle of nowhere. If somebody's got a roll with them in the car of a ticket from Staples,
well, plus you can pretty much count the people coming in the line. There's 10 people and 5 of them have our tickets already. Nah, that's not it.
But this gal comes up. She's a little girl, or she's probably like maybe 15, but she's got her little blue ticket, and she's like, yeah, I just want to refund this because I didn't ride the ride. And I was like, oh, you didn't ride the ride? And, we had like 20 people there, so we can kind of count and we know who went on the ride. So I'm videoing to Travis, like, hey, this girl's saying she didn't ride the ride. And Travis like, I'm sure she got on the ride. So I told her, well, hang on. They're just checking the cameras to make sure that you didn't get on the ride. And as long as you didn't get on the ride, it's no problem. Then she's like, oh, my mom doesn't want to wait. I got to go. We didn't have cameras set up at that time. Now we do have cameras set up at every attraction. At that time, we were just able to And I mean, it was $5, but at that time we were just, I thought it was going to be the end of the world if we had to give her back her little $5.
We actually have made it a policy. It was always a policy, but we always have people trying to get refunded. But we just made it a policy flat out, and it's written on the ticket booth, so there's no discussion. There's no cash refunds. When you buy a ticket, make sure you're going to be able to make that attraction, because at the end of the night, you're not going to come back and want your money back. Now that being said, there are instances when we've had to remove people, and it's always been my philosophy. If you have to be removed from my park, you shouldn't get a refund. But that being said, I'm not the only one that they got to confront. So sometimes Travis will get involved, Molly will get involved, or whatever. And, there's money refunded for that reason.
Right.
We don't want somebody coming back. Yeah. Our security
guard, a head security guard has, he can use his full discretion too, just to escort him out of the park. He doesn't even have to let us know. But we've only had that happen once. So, and I said, heck no, if somebody's escorting him out of the park, it's going to be me. So, but
So we have had an instance when a security guard has been a no-show. And that creates a scary situation for us because, you can't just pull anybody to be a security guard. It takes a certain type of a person to be able to control a crowd of 1,000 people. And we've had to have some sit down discussions with our security team. But I've always said we have the best security team in the business, period, bar none. So I continue to say that, and I'm proud of every one of them. But we've had to have a
situation where they didn't show up.
Yeah,
we've had first year we had a security guard pass away, and that was probably
the first year that we were in Turlock, we had a security guard, and he passed away mid-season. Yeah, that was a very sad situation. Yeah, but we understood why he was a no-show.
So in those kind of cases, we get why you're a no-show, and
really we don't.
Yeah,
I mean, why do you have to do that during season?
You know what? If nothing else,
come and help haunt. Yeah, at least come haunt for us. You're not going to be here in person. Be here in spirit, please.
Yeah, and he was a good enough guy. He probably would have had his family bring him in if they'd have thought, if he'd have known. But
yeah, I love when we get the ones like we're going to go back to Dave Thomas. Like he really was trying to negotiate with his doctor. Like, well, how do I get my leg? Like I work for a haunt. It would just be cool to have my leg. Like,
right.
Like, I could just get everybody that's like trying to talk their doctors into being on the same page as us. Like,
yeah.
Or his mom, I can make a purse out of his foot.
Oh God, I didn't hear that one.
See, it's the sun that brings us all together and that humor.
Yeah.
It's so funny though, because when you think about it, like, normally hearing that come out of your mouth, I'd be like, oh, cool, like a foot, like that's severed and it just looks like normal, and then I broke my leg and now it looks all like weird.
Yeah.
Gross. And I'm like, ew, I could just imagine what that probably would look like. And then,
yeah. Well, I seen Dave before he went into his surgery, and his foot, it did not look like
a foot.
I mean, it was like pussy and popping open and moving down his legs.
So it wouldn't have made a good.
So I just don't even know how it would have held up in a jar to begin with. But it would have been cool.
Okay, next.
So no shows. Anybody else have any remember anything Anthony shared with us about when a whole zombie crew didn't show up and they had to throw even Miss Molly Poppins out there to be a zombie?
I was there that night.
Were you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a party barn. Yeah.
Thanks for suiting up for us, Gary. Sheesh.
I volunteered multiple
Gary's
times.
like, I'm not here for that.
I was all about it. I wanted to do it.
Chivalry is dead. I had to suit up, and Gary didn't.
Gary was filming. You had the important job.
I'm joking.
My understanding was he was in the kitchen eating nachos or something. I recall.
Lots of nachos.
Because Molly made a point that she remembered him eating nachos. That must have been why she remembered it, because she was in the middle of suiting up to go get her lunch shot.
Yeah, Gary's eating nachos, living the life.
Yep.
There's
Do you ever like your day just gets away from you during the haunt season though, and all of a sudden it's just time to open, and you just realize you haven't eaten all day, and then you just see someone like
every
just eating
day.
their nachos, and you're like, dang, I haven't eaten all day. It was probably like that kind of a moment.
And it's like, well, time to go out and get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, then she fell
What
out.
happens to me during haunt season and not so like I feel like the Louisiana one here it just had this perfect little niche because it was not that the California one is chaotic and stressful like to where the
Well, it is.
But it is, yes. But like the California one or the Louisiana one, like when it was done on Sunday, it was just kind of done until Thursday night. But in the California one, like, yeah, it was done on Sunday night. And then next thing you knew, it was Thursday night and you're ready to open again. You're like, where the hell did time go? Like, I felt like I had some downtime here in Louisiana. Where in California, there was just never downtime because there was always something that had to be constantly being addressed. Or
it was the crew. First of all, the crew size has a lot to do because the crew always has issues and they're always, you don't know what those issues are until the days that are free days, because that's when they have time to think about it and they're calling us and they're wanting us to address certain issues. And
you had 16 attractions, so there's more upkeeps, or there'd be somebody say, this would be better. That's what we're always trying to improve.
We've got a lot of people. There was somebody who just randomly, there's a site that I'm on for Cookville, and he just put out there like, hey, I just moved to the area and I'm a haunter. I've been haunting for years. He's been haunting for years. I'm just looking for a haunt to be in. There was so much feedback on it. And I said, hey, someday I'm going to open up a ranch of horror here, blah, blah. And next thing, I do this podcast, Haunt After Hours. He's like, I really want to be on the show. Hit me up for the podcast. But I'm just really excited for Cookville to eventually be getting a ranch of horror. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it this year because I'm going to be having a baby, but
now,
that's when you do your best
that
work.
should have been planned a lot better.
I know that's what
Travis can't have his wedding, but Heather can have a baby during haunt
What
season.
the hell?
And every year we're going to have a birthday party during haunt season.
I'm just saying our
I
best
feel
years
like-
have always been when she's having babies. So
We talk about haunt babies, when we say haunt babies, we refer to babies being conceived during our haunt, but Heather has the opposite to that. Her haunt babies are babies born during the build.
that's a hell of a scene, though. Just saying.
You just don't
If
want
you
to
start giving birth during hot season, we're just going to make a room for it.
Yeah.
that'd be great. I won't get in trouble for the no show. I'll be there. I'll be the show.
So the worst person to not show is and this has happened to us a few times. And Travis is usually the one who
Don't show?
No, kind of.
Yeah.
Because there have been nights where Travis has been late, but he's not only does it really affect us because he's in charge of turning on the lights, he's in charge of turning on the sound, getting the movie equipment ready, because we do movies at our haunt, so all that stuff has to be ready to go. And I'm not used to doing that, so I don't know. First of all, I don't know where half the equipment is because we don't leave it out overnight. We take it down and put it up, and that creates a lot of issue. You got a haunt that is really dependent on sound, lighting, all that stuff, and the person who's in charge of it is not there to do it.
Is your son? You can beat him.
What was that?
Smack him around. He's your kid. Smack him around.
Well, they get into it.
Yeah, he's 6 foot tall. I'm 5'6". They're all bigger than me, Gary. There's a point in time. We don't scare them anymore. I've reached that point, and I'm crippled now, so that they can run faster than me too.
Yeah, but it is hard when and then it seems a lot of emotions go on during October. So then you have people not showing up just because their feelings got hurt over something, and they're going to be back the next day, and you're not going to fire them because you understand that their feelings are just hurt, but you're like, dang, just show up, just come, do your part.
Right. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Or don't talk about it. Just do your part and go and be done. Like, talk about it later. I say don't talk to me about your feelings until after November.
One thing I would think that would be very hard is if you did have to let somebody go, how do you replace that person last minute when you're already stressing to fill that void when they're gone.
There's only been that in my history of the haunt, and I can't speak for everybody. We had one time where my sister-in-law let go of somebody right before the haunt started because he was making people feel uncomfortable, and and we were lucky that was in the woods, so we kind of were able to fill in a spot. It's not like he had his own scene. He was kind of a pop scare actor, and it worked out okay. Then we had one time right before the haunt opened, we had a character, the Jester, and a gal who I'm not even sure had the authority. There was a guy and a gal who were just there. I'm not sure that they were even given authority to let him go, but they sure let him go in the middle of the midway, in front of the line of people. They did get reprimanded for the way that they did it. We understood why they were letting him go, because he was also making a lot of people uncomfortable. But thankfully he was also he wasn't like a major vital role in the area. So we were able to, I think actually for a little bit, I jumped into his spot and was just popping out and scaring people for the night.
That's what happened. We had our chainsaw guy kept showing up missing one year in the haunt. So we had to let him go mid-season, and you just roll someone else. Like, that's what the pop scares are for. You just roll them over to something else.
So
it's hard when it's the chainsaw guy. It's hard because not everybody can pick up that chainsaw. Not everybody can start that chainsaw. We had one guy fill in for the chainsaw guy, and he's this little tiny guy. And when he would pick it up, it's like he was going to fall over. And the chainsaw guy was supposed to get up, rev his thing, and then pick up a victim and go off that was part of the scene. But when you have this little tiny twig, he's a good guy worker, but it was outside of his capabilities.
Yeah, so instead of him grabbing the customer or
he would pull somebody else.
It was somebody else came, a bigger person came with him, grabbed them and pulled them off or whatever.
And this guy did it.
So I've always been two things, Gary. To answer your original question, I've always been a big proponent of that. We have a stand-in ready to go. That we hire at least one, maybe 2, 3 extra people, so that, because every year we have an issue where we start off with 130, we wind up with 100 at the end of the season, and we're losing people. And, we have to have people to fill in. The other thing is, one of the reasons that we created line actors in our haunt was so that we had positions for these fill-ins to go. So they're line actors. Line actor we can pull, and we can put them in spots throughout.
Okay.
So,
already in costume, yeah.
Yeah, and line actors actually serve a purpose during the haunt when we are fully staffed. They serve a purpose, but in the event that we have to pull them, it's easier to pull them because they're not doing really anything other than cheering up the people that are in line.
That's a good idea.
I will tell you that being someone that works mostly behind the scenes for the haunt, when you get in a situation, like Heather said, there hasn't been many when we've had to fire people, but when you get in the position where you are at the point that you're having to fire somebody, it really at that point does not matter. Like, you will make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it's like your baby and the person that's standing in between it, and it's just like they're just done. I remember with the Jester, like, that was a hot situation. It was drawn out. It was like security had to take him out. It was a long thing, but it was very like, I don't remember thinking a lot about
2 stories up, because our haunt mom, she fired the Jester in the middle of the midway, but then the guy that was the Ricky that was doing the hayride, he fired one of those cast members in the middle of the season too. And then that guy ended up coming back. Like, he's still with us today. So we have some that have been fired and come back, end up making their way back through.
Yeah, you can't just have anybody firing our people. I mean,
right.
they're I think in the Jester situation, we agreed that he should have been fired. So we did not retract that. But in the other situation, I don't remember the Ricky situation, so I don't remember who he fired. I think I have an idea of who you're talking about. But in that situation, there was issues that maybe this Ricky didn't know
like
about.
Hearsay. We were taking one person's word over it without doing an actual
Right, exactly.
investigation over what was going on.
So we overrided that one.
Yeah.
And I think that we did. I think we made the right choice in that particular case.
Balloons are happening. Jump scares. Rock's working on his jump scares.
Yep.
He's in there not screaming.
Wait, another even just your day-to-day jobs, when somebody calls in, it just is like, even at the party barn, when we were at one point we had like 15 kids, but when we started dwindling down after the pandemic to we had 3 and one person calls in on a Saturday, you're screwed. Like like when you sign up for jobs, you just need to make them priority. And I understand like it's not your whole life. Of course not. But, dude, there's a right way to go about there's this different if it's an absolute emergency. Now, we had a girl who applied for the haunt, she got her position, and it was before opening night. She sends, the mom sends this message like, my daughter was in a car accident and she's not going to be there and blah, blah, blah. She's on life support. Like, I mean, I was like crying. I was praying for her. Like, for weeks, I'd ask, like, is she okay? The mom would be telling me, yeah, she's out, blah, 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 but she still wants to do the haunt, but she can't come back until this week. So we're like 3 weeks into the season, and I've kind of just figured she's not going to come in. Well, her friend ends up getting hired on with us for the main business the rest of the year. The friend had no idea that the mom had told us this story. Come to find out, none of it ever even happened. The girl just got nervous about showing up to so she wasn't even ever in an accident. Like, don't lie either. Don't lie. The truth is okay. Don't lie. Like,
yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, I might just say the military has something going for it, because you cannot call in sick. You cannot say, hey, I'm just not going to be there today. I'm taking a vacation. You can't. If you're sick, you have to show up and go to sick bay, and they can say you're sick. You just can't call in and say I'm sick.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the rest of the world doesn't have that luxury.
I know, that's
being
part of
able
what's
to-
But when you're
wrong.
feeding people in McDonald's chicken nuggets and pizza, it's a little hard to get them to just decide to show up every night.
We had
Everybody should have a
that
stink in the
same
military and
jester
crew.
that got fired. One of his issues, he pooped in his scene.
Was
Remember?
what?
He
No.
pooped in his scene. Pooped
Oh,
in
yeah,
his scene.
yeah.
Why are you whispering it? Like, just say it.
Right, we're doing a podcast.
This is so embarrassing. Like,
Go all over now. We're
what
gonna be
kind
like,
of grown man? Like, he's in a costume. You have to and it's like a bodysuit. So there was work that had to be done in order for this poop to happen.
so he pooped in his costume, is what you said?
No, in his scene, there was a pile of human man shit in his scene.
What was his
Human man shit.
So he crapped right in front of
And we had people going through. It's not like we were out in Snelling or in Louisiana where we're kind of waiting for people. Like that California was like boom, 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 boom. I mean, he could have. I don't think we've ever been that crazy where we're like, no, you cannot go to the bathroom.
Everybody, this is Creepy Kaysen.
Hey, Kaysen.
Say hi.
Maybe
Oh,
he's
don't tell
always
me.
writing scene.
Okay, wait, hold on. Everybody, this is the star of the movie. This is Corinna May. Say hi,
Look at her
Corinne.
front teeth. I haven't seen her in so long.
Oh, she actually has front teeth now.
I
Yeah.
know.
I feel like we could have done Corinne up a little bit if she was going to be making her debut on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, we
She
should.
looks perfect.
They just happen to be out here running around. Brock, you want to say hi? Hi. That's all you're gonna get from him.
He can't stand still for 2 seconds to do it. He's on a mission all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
That guy gets
So
fired
now,
because he pooped in his area?
yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
that
guess who had to clean
led
it out?
on to it when we realized. I think it was like the next, like we realized that there was this. It's not like, I don't think it was like one poop. I think it's like he was going to a bathroom in one corner in his spot and then just leaving it there. So the house mom found it at the end of the night. The next day he said something that I don't even remember the whole story, but I know that it was just like things piling on. And that was like kind of like icing on the cake where she's like, he's got to go. He came in the next day with some kind of attitude and she's just like, you're out of here. You're gone.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Because at first I was like, there's no way he's doing it. It's got to be an animal. They're like, what animal, Heather? Show me an animal that's walking. Like, and then we're like, well, what about Haley? That did not come out of Haley. That did not. So.
It's bigger than
Haley's is this tiny little puppy dog.
But nobody.
So yes, we have had babies conceived in our scenes, at least one a year, and we have had I mean, humans are just disgusting. Like they just are. We have really, really great high caliber haunt actors, and then you also have just others.
Wow.
And I feel like that's in every walk of life. Like doesn't matter what you do. There's doctors that are the same way. Like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we found that out, didn't we?
I've heard stories. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say.
Yeah. So, all right. So yes, if you have made yourself a commitment in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in the haunt industry or you're working at McDonald's serving Gary his McChickens, please give the courtesy, do it the right way. If you're not going to show up, don't just do this no call, no show, because you really put people in. I mean, like if Gary has to wait 5 minutes, like that's going to be an issue. He's got things to do.
It's called fast food.
Yeah.
I feel like I've missed so much. Like, is Gary still in love? Are we still eating? Are we still eating McDonald's? Are we on
Gary
Jack
is
in the Box?
officially
Like,
off the market,
Yeah.
and we are not eating McDonald's because he's got somebody he has to impress now.
Oh, Jack in the Box now. Got it.
Eating a Jack in the Box.
Oh, I was so excited the other day because we were driving from Tennessee to. I was supposed to leave right after I got off work at 2:00, and then my parents are they're looking for an SUV because they're going to have my kids a lot of the time now, which I'm really excited about. But they need a car that's big enough to hold all my kids.
No, we need a car that's full drive. So
Yes.
that's nice thinking.
We need a car that's four-wheel drive because we're now living in snow area. So.
I don't even know if I like that way of thinking. Now I'm going to go back to two-seater Mercedes.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't make Miatas in four-wheel drive.
Yeah, we're looking for a third row seat, mostly because we're going to have a bunch of grandkids in the car, I think, right?
Jeez Louise.
Right?
So anyways, we stopped. So it took, instead of just like moving and being here by 10:00, we stopped at, you can never it's never just a 5-minute thing when you go into a car dealership. So we're there for a little bit of time. It ends up making our 1-day trip into 2-day trips. But it's like 10:00 at night. We're hungry and we're pulling off, and there's hardly any Jack in the Boxes. Like, I don't know, like I think Baton Rouge has a Jack in the Box, but nothing, it's not everywhere like it is in California. So we pull in and I see this Jack sign. I'm like, yes, we're getting Jack in the Box. I'm gonna get a taco, blah, blah. It's like some kind of Indian place. I'm like, what is this?
And Jack had the same type of logo.
It was the same colors and everything.
I would be so disappointed.
I would have been crying.
Me too.
I was a little bit disappointed. It was some chicken and biscuits and not hamburgers. And I was like, oh, this is not what I thought I was getting.
I would have been upset. I miss Jack in the Box and Taco Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big Jack in the Box fan. Taco Truck, I got food poisoning from Taco Truck about a year.
I had a bad experience with a taco truck here, and I haven't eaten it since, and it really makes me sad because I had finally found one.
Yeah, well, after my food poisoning experience, I had to go back to make sure that, but I didn't get sick from it ever since. Just that one time. Just that one time.
Well, congratulations, Gary, on being off the market.
Yeah, you missed it last week. I read like somebody emailed in. It was like,
Molly, did you see the film? Did you see the little short film?
I did. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's not because it was bad. It's not
You
because it's bad.
You know who his?
What do you have to do all day?
I know. That's what I'm saying. He uses this leg as an excuse for everything.
Not the whole thing. It's only 8 minutes long.
Oh, sorry, Gary. You know she broke her leg 10 weeks ago. She doesn't have time for that.
So, I mean, what are you using your foot to press start or what? I mean,
he's too busy trying to figure out how to wipe her butt. Like,
I'm just saying, if you want to see Gary's new love interest, she stars in the film.
Oh my God!
She's the lush that picks up the can in the parking lot.
I haven't really like her.
I will go back and rewatch.
Are you bringing her to the festa, Gary?
She's down for pretty much anything.
So, are you coming to the festa, Gary?
I haven't been invited yet. Am I going?
What do you mean?
It's
You
open
don't
to
get
the public.
invited.
What do you mean you get?
Yeah, you don't need a personal invitation.
Here's your personal invitation.
Yeah, here it is.
First of
Here
all,
it is.
I
Okay,
thought that you
yeah,
learned
you're
this
invited.
lesson already. To be a vital part of Ranch of Horror, you just invite yourself to
You
everything.
just show
Yeah.
up.
That's how you get to the point that we're at now.
That's how.
But it's on the same day every year.
I don't know
And
what it
if-
Yeah.
is.
It's June 24th. It's so St. John. The Catholic religion. They celebrate 3 birthdays. Of course, Christmas is Jesus. St. John is always on June 24th, and then the Mother Mary's is September 28th, I think. So they those are 3 birthdays that they recognize.
If
And
I'm
you
not
won't
doing
forget
something
it
with the
now.
Scouts, I should be there.
This is the day that you're going to find out about the film. So now you just correlate those two things.
That's right. It's the same day.
Yeah, that'll be a big day.
Open the envelope with us. Travis is president this year, and he can read it out loud, and everybody can toot and holler for you, Gary.
Oh, yeah, I should
I'm
be able
so
to go.
sad I'm
That's
not
on,
going to be there.
that's on a Friday. I should be able to go.
Yeah, and the day before we actually do a deep pit lunch, and it's open to the public also. And they have a band that plays at night, and they have the famous Festa Burgers. If you've lived around the area and you heard about the Festa Burgers,
Oh,
they're excellent. Yeah.
Right.
They're next level.
Chris comes in on the 24th, so now I got to decide: do I want to go to the festa, or do I want to welcome my husband?
Oh, you want to see your husband that you haven't seen in 6 months? Yeah.
And now you just
That's-
announced that. Now you're kind of forced to go see your husband. You know you don't want to do that on the 24th. But yeah.
Just have him fly in there.
Well,
He should.
His boat docks on the 24th.
Well, he should know better. He should be straightening up the Coast Guard and letting
I
them
know,
know that
that's
he's
what I'm
coming a day earlier.
Well, one thing that kind of works in my favor that might allow me to stay at the festa is my military ID has not been updated, so I can't even get on base without him because it has now expired. So
You need to get that taken care of while you're there.
yeah, definitely do, but that could probably happen on the 27th.
So you may be a no-show to the festa.
Well, I'll
We'll
be down
talk
the
about you.
23rd.
oh, yeah.
No show. All right.
We're going to talk about
All
you.
right, moving right along. Molly Poppins, what's your prop of the night?
Okay, guys, so I'm a little off because I haven't done this in so long, but
Yeah, she broke her
I
leg.
broke my leg, you know.
Can't
it's
find
just
a
a thing.
proper leg.
How long are we
You
gonna
watch
use
a movie, her
it?
legs
I'm curious to know
We're
how.
gonna
show
use
us the
it until I
crutches.
can walk again. That's
So
what
you're
we're gonna
saying
use.
though-
Well, Anthony
Tell
wants
us
to
the
know how
crutches.
long
Is
you
that
thought
gonna
you
be
had
the
a
new
prosthetic
prop?
leg for.
Oh, they
I
told
know,
you
Dave
guys
was-
told
Dave
me that,
lost his leg
but I
and he's
never
more
thought
active.
you did. I'm just saying they tried to convince me that he did, but I didn't think he did. But now I just feel like after hearing his story again, that I just feel like now I have to walk, or it's going to be a thing where Anthony's going to be like, "You're seriously not fucking walking." Oops, excuse my language. Believe me.
But yes, seriously. But my mom just had a good point. I mean, Dave lost his leg, and 2 days later, I seen him at a 4th of July party, walking and doing. And then here's Molly 10 weeks later, guys, I broke my leg. What are you
Hey, I
doing?"
can walk. I can walk
I
with a
can't
scooter.
watch that
just like
video.
Dave. I don't know what it was. I clicked out of the video and then I never clicked back in.
I think you need to talk to Dave.
So,
Listen,
Gary, that sounds like a review of the video.
I know,
no,
It's
it's
an
not.
8-minute
It's
video,
not.
and 2 minutes into it, she had to shut it off.
It's
Oh,
not.
I can't
It's
my
not.
leg.
It's like as soon as Travis started going, I was like, who taught him how to act?
I thought he did.
That's why Travis is not casted as an actor in the haunt. I mean, that's why his character doesn't do much. If you think about it, his character is behind the mask and doesn't
talk. Doesn't talk. Yeah.
all day long.
Doesn't talk.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I promise.
Sure.
But no, I can come have dinner with me, and I'll show you that I can scoot just like Dave can. I'm just saying.
Do we have to bring you dinner?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell kind of a pitch is
It
that?
sounds like you're just
My leg is broken.
It sounds like you're just trying to get us to do stuff for you, Molly. I mean, come on. There's a better way to ask. for help.
Wow.
Jeez. Anyway, back to the prop here. That's not my leg. I was looking through looking for props, and I stumbled on Haunted Hills Productions page, and something that we've used a lot in our own haunts at the Ranch of Horror is the claustrophobia tunnel. And I just saw it on their page. So I thought it was something that's kind of cool to highlight. It's one of my favorite things that we do in our haunt, or one of my favorite effects that we do. I think that we've done it really well. And I don't want to take away from Haunted Hills production and all the people, because there's a lot of prop makers that make these into a lot more extravagant things than they really need to be. So I think that that's great that they do it. It's already set up for you guys. If you go on their website, you can definitely buy it already set up, or you can do it like we do it, which is, we like to go and find these props and then try to remake them ourselves because it's just more fun that way. But we do a really good job with it, I think. The effect is, it's the effect of being claustrophobic, and not only that, but not knowing if somebody's coming at you when you only have one way to go.
For me, it's a germaphobe thing. And I'm surprised. I thought they'd be a thing of the past after 2020, but you still see them.
It's just it literally is just great. We one year put it at the beginning of our haunt, so we did like a double effect right at the beginning. So we did the tunnel, the spinning tunnel straight into this the claustrophobia tunnel, and I think that was the best year we ever did it. Like, we had people go through the tunnel and then literally just get stuck. Like, they had not even seen an actor at this point, and literally would not go forward through this tunnel. So it's just something that I really like. If you guys have never been through one, it's basically just a fabric or bags of some sort that are made into really tightly, they're blown up with air from, what are they called? Like bounce house blowers. Yeah, that's what it is. Blowers. And they get really tight. So basically you have to use all your body pressure to push through it to get through the entire thing. So they make them, actually this one they make in like a 50-foot, all the way up to a 50-foot size. And I think
that's a long one.
It's long, huh? But I feel like that would be kind of cool.
12 feet.
Yeah, I think we do like 10 to 12 feet.
They have prices? What's the prices on them?
So the 50-foot by 7 foot
really that bad.
is $2,900. But that doesn't include the fan. That's just like the vinyl.
I've seen them as low as like $550 or something like that, and that included the fans, I think. But they're obviously not 50 feet long.
Yeah, their 8-foot one is $600.
Yeah, so I mean that's a little more reasonable, I think.
We use it as a
I know one year when we were out,
bright light hits you when you come out. That's my favorite part of it. I feel like
I know one year when we were at a location, and our counterparts, our partners at the time, they had used plastic, like the black plastic.
Black plastic, yeah.
And then they had the swamp cooler pushing the air.
They actually used a swamp cooler. That's instead of the blowers, they just had an old swamp cooler that pushed air into the black plastic, and that's what made their. And I think they only had one side aired up, so you were pushed up against a wall, and then they had the bag coming out at you on that. So I mean, it was a cheap do-it-yourself thing, but it created the same effect. It really did, and they did a good job with it.
We've come a long way since then.
I was afraid I was going to damage your haunt because I didn't know anything about these things when I went, and I had to go through one of those, and I couldn't find an entrance, and so I just assumed, I guess we're going through this, and it turns out I was right. You were supposed to go that way, but it was a little confusing at first, and then actually, when I got through, I was realized, okay, I was supposed to go through there, but that thing was cool, man.
Yeah.
Carrie's like, I'm just so confused. There's only one way for me to go, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go through this one way.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one way to go, and it was that way. So I mean, it's obvious you're supposed to go that way, but at the same time, you're like, am I really supposed to go through this?
Yeah, because it closes off, right?
Yeah, it was neat.
Oh, yeah, they are really cool. I think.
Guy who.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Holly.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to say, I had a guy that went through, he wanted to see the haunt in the off hours. And so, he was a friend of mine, and I walked him through, and when he got to that room, he told me, he says, this would be it for me. I'd turn around and go back. He says, I cannot do claustrophobic at all.
Yeah.
No.
Well, what was really awkward though, is how we all had to take off our clothes and rub the butter on us. Then when we squeezed through, had to put our clothes back on. I didn't quite get that.
You were part of that group. I got
Yeah.
you.
Oh my God.
You're part of
That was
that
one
one.
hell of a cleanup, wasn't it?
And that was another reason we fired the jester.
I'm not so sure that was butter you were rubbing all over.
It didn't taste like butter. I don't know what it was.
Okay, next segment. Yeah.
Oh, I can't even. But yeah, if you guys have not checked out these claustrophobia tunnels, there's a ton of videos online about them, different ways that you can DIY them. Or if you just want to buy it already done, there's a lot of different sellers that do it. Haunted Hills Production is one of them, but definitely check it out. It definitely adds something for sure to your haunt. So
And let me just throw this in there on that particular prop. The ones that we have made ourselves, sometimes, like Janice was saying, we've used the black plastic in the past, and just pieces that we've had, you can put them together for almost next to nothing. You don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to make these things. You can put them together for, under $100. You can have yourself a nice.
Right. The beautiful part about purchasing one from like this
That's
is
already made. Yeah.
It's already made. You don't have to think it. You just plug it in and let it go. And what I've learned with looking, we're looking at doing a whole haunt in this kind of material, is that like they're already like fire retardant, and that you don't have to. They're ready. They're haunt ready. You know.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about.
Right.
yeah.
Well, and it adds a little bit more professionalism to your haunt to have one that's professionally made. Of course, you don't want to, a haunt the size of ours in California, you don't want to have black plastic throughout everything, obviously, but because it does sort of take away from it. But at the same time, you know what? If you're on a budget and you're out there and you want to put one together, you can do it very, very cheaply. It doesn't cost a lot of money to put one of these things together. So.
All right, Gary, share with us your haunt history. What you got for us today?
All right, we are talking about.
Wait, before you tell us, did you watch the documentary about the Hat Man?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, I was hoping that you
But I
did.
want.
Why? Did you break a leg?
I don't have the
did
guts.
break my leg, but it's better now, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
This week has been insane. I haven't done anything I was supposed to do.
You got a girlfriend now. That's what happens when you find girlfriends. You don't get it. You never will do anything ever.
Honestly, I've seen her once this week for like an hour.
Well, then
It's been that
I was wondering why we didn't have another comic book. I should have known you fell in love.
Which is another thing. I got to get that done by the 6th, because last podcast I put myself in a corner, so I'll have it done by the 6th.
Well, the
Just
6th
with
is
like
like in
school
6 days.
graduations and.
It might be all stick figures, but yeah, by the end of the book.
So, whoa, God, where'd it go? Okay, so we're talking about 3 films that Roger Ebert reviewed and said, this trash belongs in a world where stars don't shine.
Yes.
Goodness.
We are talking about the 3 films, The Human Centipede 1, 2, and 3.
Awesome.
I agree.
So we talked about this last episode.
Yes.
And we try to figure out how they came up with Centipede. And I told you, Gary, I think I figured it out. They're taking all the movies and they're counting all the legs in all 3 movies.
So they knew.
That's the only way they could do it.
Well, I didn't do a count. I didn't do any research. I just watched the last one this morning. So the first thing I did when I woke up was watch that crap. And I finished it for the podcast. I think they had enough legs in the last one to make the full Centipede.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was so the last one takes place in a prison. And what makes that one special, if I could use that word, is they brought back a lot of the actors from the first 2 films and put them in different roles, though they were still closely resembling their previous characters, but they were different people. I don't want to ruin these films for people. These films were made by a person named Tom Six. I don't know if that is his real name or not, but he has his own production company now. And if I understood correctly, the first film came about on a night where they were drinking and discussing ways of, I believe, just torturing people. And the subject came up, well, what if we like sewed people's face to their butt? And they're like, ha ha ha. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, that would be a cool movie. and thus the Human Centipede 1 was born.
Exactly what I would be thinking. Yeah, that's
That'd be
awesome.
such a cool movie.
Absolutely. I mean, well, we talk about some weird stuff, so you never know. And so they make this thing. And so there's 3 films, so I don't want to go too depth because this will take all day. So we're just going to like glaze over this real quick. So the first film was an independent film, and it was a success. And it starts off with these girls who are in the woods, and they come across this wonderful house, and this beautiful home happens to be a surgeon who's lost his mind, and he brings these 2 beautiful women in, and there's this guy there, and he drugs them, and the next thing you know, they wake up and they're becoming sewn together with this guy, and he needs to eat food, and then one of the girls needs to feed food, and it goes through the digestive tract until it comes out the other end, and things don't work out too well, and the film ends there. So the second film is this one guy has watched the Human Centipede film, so we realize, oh, this guy, it was a movie, and this guy watched this movie, and now he wants to try it himself, and he's just this kind of little round guy who they really kind of grossed up. He's not that gross looking in real life, and they gross him up, and he lives with his mother. And he has this warehouse space, and he has been kidnapping people, and he is sewing them up together too. And I believe he had something like 20 people sewn together, but he's not a surgeon. And so the issue is people are bleeding out. He doesn't know how to sew. So he's stapling people's face to other people's anuses. And when they eat food, it doesn't actually pass through the digest. We've lost Anthony. He just didn't want to hear this. And so
That unicorn princess just couldn't take that.
he's like, I'm out. So this food isn't passing through the digestive tract like it did in the movie. So he's feeding them laxatives, and now the food is going too fast through the digestive tract. And there's a whole bunch of over-the-top gore that I'm just not going to get into. And if you think whatever you have in your mind that you think is gory, it's like 100 times worse than that. And so that film ends. So we go into the third film, which is The Human Centipede 3, and I just watched it this morning. And to tell you the truth, I think out of all the films, that one would be my favorite, though I'm not a big fan, but I think that one was my favorite. It starts off in a prison.
Sounds like you're agreeing with the Siskel or the Ebert guy.
I actually am.
He's hunting for a reason to not. I know this Gary, already.
Well, the over-the-top acting does it for me. I enjoyed the over-the-top acting. I didn't enjoy some things, but over-the-top acting I did enjoy. The doctor from the first film is now a prison warden, and the little guy who was doing the killing in the second one is now his accountant. For whatever reason, they work closely in the same office, but they're both batshit insane, and they decide because of the heat. And because the heat's just driving them crazy, and the logistics of the prison, the punishments are costing too much, and they're not reforming people. And the governor, who is Eric Roberts, who doesn't do a good job in this film, Eric is on their butt saying your prison's not doing well enough. We're going to fire you. So they come with the idea: what if we do what they did in the first 1 and 2 Human Centipede films? We'll sew all the prisoners together, and this will deter people from wanting to make crimes and come to jail, because they know if they make crimes, they're going to lose their teeth. They're going to get their face sewn to somebody's butthole and forced to eat their shit and poop in another person's mouth. And one tale, when you're out of prison, if you've been in this situation, is all the little scar sutures around your lips. And the governor first thinks, oh, this is an awful idea. But then he has some time to think about it on a short car ride away. And for whatever reason, he decides, hey, driver, turn around. And he turns back around and says, guys, this is a wonderful idea. Keep it up. And basically that's the movie. That is Human Centipede 1, 2, and 3.
I just don't understand anybody.
A little bit of backstory about it.
Have you seen
Without getting too far into it.
I will watch the third one too. But
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna watch the third one.
I honestly did enjoy the third one. There was a half-assed rape scene that I did not like, and I'm not talking about when they're having sex with the dude's kidney. I'm talking about what he's doing to his office assistant. I didn't really enjoy that too much. But besides that, if you're fine with somebody getting their kidney fucked, then this is the movie for you. The end.
I don't know how you just said all that without stop talking with a straight face the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is the root. Like, we need to get to the root of that.
Yeah.
I feel like these movies have a grotesquerie of going uphill, then you hit number 2, and it's like, oh, that's way over the top. And then number 3 kind of brings it back down, but it's still on the messed up train.
I'm wondering over here, like, I watched the first one, which I don't even really know why, but I know that I would never go on to watch another one. And Anthony's over here like, I'm going to watch the third one today.
Because
Like,
these
and I'm
are
over here
I
like,
watched 2. I didn't know there was a third one.
I'm pretty sure I've watched all the movies that Gary talked about.
You're gonna watch
those.
the
I'm
third
like, I
one?
guess
Good
I'm
job.
you then.
You're gonna watch the third one.
right up into Gary's.
These are the car wreck films. These are the car wrecks on the side of the road that you can't turn away from. And that's why people are drawn to these movies. What sick thing are they doing now? You'll talk about this sick thing with your friends. The next thing you know, your friends are like, oh, that's gross. I need to see this. Because
that's how I got roped into the first one. I'm not going to lie to you. Have you
Right.
seen Old?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh my God. Me and Danny were watching that last night. And like, there just came a few points in the movie where we were just looking at each other like, what are we watching right now? Why have I waited months to watch this movie?
The M. Night Shyamalan movie where they're on the island.
Yeah, watch it.
Okay, I saw the previews and I was like, oh, but if you're saying it's all messed up, then yes, I will watch Old.
It's a little messed up. I mean, it takes you through a roller coaster of emotions very quickly. So,
I'll watch it.
yeah.
All right,
All right, our
what we do is
paranormal-
Old.
Our paranormal story for the day comes from Reader's Digest. And I've just got to ask, like, have you guys ever, I don't know if it's just me because I'm afraid of absolutely everything, but there have been times where I'm like driving by myself in my car and I've like got to turn on the light and check behind my seat because I just feel like there's somebody back there next to me. Anyways, in this story, there's it was presented to Reader's Digest, but I think it originally came from Reddit. The ambulance company that I used to work for had a haunted ambulance, Rig 12, recounts Reddit user Zerbo. A lot of EMTs had stories about it, but I never put much stock into paranormal stuff. That is until I had my own experience with Rig 12. And I feel like I really relate with that because I don't really put a lot of thought into it until I've experienced it myself. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this can happen. My partner and I were working on a rural community at 3 a.m. and it was pitch dark and completely quiet. We were both dozing off. I was in the driver's seat and she was in the passenger seat. I woke up to a muffled voice, but I thought that my partner was talking. I told her I was trying to sleep and closed my eyes. I distinctly heard a male voice say, "Oh my God, am I dying?" followed by a few seconds of heavy breathing. My partner and I sat straight up and looked back into the patient compartment where it sounded like the voice had come from. Things were quiet for a couple of seconds. Then we heard the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a hiss as if it was leaking. I turned on the lights and we ran out of the rig. I thought a transit may have climbed in while we were asleep. So we opened the rear doors. No one was there. I checked the oxygen bottles. Neither was open. We didn't sleep much after that. So anyways, I just can't even imagine. I have been in situations. I used to work at a bed and breakfast and I lived in the basement underneath like a little house in the back. And I just always heard like crazy things. And you think your mind's playing tricks on you until you'll try to brush it off as something. And then it's like, whatever it is wants you to know, like, no, I do exist and I am here. And so they'll turn the oxygen tank on so that you hear the hiss, so that you know, like, it's not your mind playing tricks on you. And
That's a trip.
I'm not a fan of, why do they have to mess with you like that? Why can't they just let you live your life? And
Do you feel like since you got a dog that you're more scared? Because I feel like I'll hear something and then like normally I could just be like, oh no, I'm just hearing things. But then when your dog looks up and its ears stick up, you're like, oh crap, we both heard it, you know?
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The dogs sometimes will sense things before we will. Like, and I don't know that I'm necessarily more scared, but definitely like what is scary is when he won't make a peep and then all of a sudden he's growling at the door for some reason. You're like, okay, what's happening? But there's a whole thing. I almost went down a whole rabbit hole a while back about how dogs can sense things before humans can. So they definitely
That's for sure.
Yeah.
stronger than ours.
I had a paranormal story. So it used to be, I used to live in a house with a roommate. This was back when I was about 21. And we used to gamble a lot. We did really well, but we didn't save any of our money. Instead, we bought surround sound systems. And we had a surround sound system in every room of the house, except for the kitchen and the restrooms. Other than that, they were everywhere, right? And so I was at work one day.
Chris's grandma has a surround sound system in the restroom. And I've always wondered, like, why is that needed?
Hey, man, right on. Whatever works for her. So I get a call one day. I'm at work because normally I work swing shift, and it's Doug. And he says, "Hey, where's the remote for the surround sound system in the living room?" I said, "It didn't come with a remote because it didn't. You had to physically get up and you had to turn the knob, the volume up or down, right?" And he goes, "Well, I'm sitting here with my girlfriend, and we watched the dial move up, and the noises got louder." And he said, "I thought I was sitting on the remote, so we tore apart the couch, and it's not there." He goes, "Where's the remote?" I said, "I just told you, dude, we don't have a remote for that. It's not set up for a remote." And so that was the end. And nothing else happened. But he said he sat there and watched the dial turn all the way up.
Did you ever experience that after that?
I never experienced anything in there at all. But he also experienced like the TV wouldn't be on, it'd be off, and then all of a sudden like the screen would start glowing these like kind of like blobby looking lava lamp kind of shapes, and then they'd go away.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about
Communication.
that,
It's communication.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Nope.
But nothing happened to me. Well, I take that back. One time years later, I was with my girlfriend at the time. We were watching that house because my friends were gone, so we were house sitting. And we were laying in bed, and there was a shirt over a speaker. And we were watching TV, and all of a sudden the shirt, I shit you not, lifted up and dropped on the floor. And I remember Angela looked at me and goes, "Did you just see that?" I said, "Yeah." And we kind of like looked at the shirt for a while, and well, maybe it just slid off. But once we were home and safe, no, that damn thing lifted up and went to the side of the floor. Like we will both swear to it. We saw that happen.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah.
I don't understand why like I don't understand why there has to be this barrier where it has to be a little bit creepy. Like, why can't we just know what's happening? Why does it have to be? I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, friends, if you are still with us.
Because if there was a barrier, we wouldn't have a haunt industry.
Yeah.
It's that barrier that we built this industry on.
Yeah, that is true. We need that industry so that we have people like Gary who can successfully make scary movies, because otherwise everyone would just know the answers. And then we have people like us who can successfully come up with haunt attractions.
Yeah. I got just about a movie too. I've got a plan sorted out, and we're going to be finishing shortly.
Yeah.
For reals this time.
Yeah. For reals this time, like on the 6th, in 6 days, we're going to have a comic book.
In 6 days, you will have a comic book.
Oh.
The film might be another month and a half or so. It's going to get done.
That'll be music to Corinne's ears, because she listened to the podcast the other day, I guess, on their way here. And she's like, "So, like, you guys talked about me on the podcast. So when's the movie gonna be done?"
Right. Have you fired him yet?
Yeah.
Wow. That's the girl that fires.
She sat down with me for lunch the other day, and she said, "So where are we at on my movie?" And I said, "Well, what movie?" "Oh, there she is right there, a little fart." I said, "What movie are we talking about?" And she said, "My movie. I starred in a scary movie." I said, "Well, that movie was too scary for the public, and we couldn't finish it."
Well, Corinne, we are going to finish it very soon, sweetie. I promise.
She's getting nervous because look at her teeth are growing in now. So
I know.
Now you're not gonna be able to use her for her.
Pull them back out.
Yeah.
That's what magic markers are made for, dear.
I could take a marker and
Black it out.
Yeah, cover them out. Yeah.
Yep.
Or we just put Gary's editing skills to the test and see if we can just green screen them out or something.
Yeah.
I could put your teeth back in. Just let me pull them out. We'll put them back in later.
Yeah.
They're not working
That's big
anymore.
money for her teeth.
She knows I'm kidding.
But I lost my other teeth too.
She
You
got
did.
one of her side teeth. She got $5. She got $5 for her two insides of her teeth. $5 a piece, and she was just like, $5, that's it. I'm like, goodness. Like,
We didn't even get paper when I was young.
Well,
girl.
what happens, her first tooth that she ever lost, I think I did share this before, but
It's like right here.
her first tooth that she ever lost, the Mexican tooth fairy was on duty that night because she got 100 pesos.
Whoa.
And we're like,
What did she think about pesos?
yeah, well, she was 4 or 5 at the
Oh,
time.
okay.
So, but now, we haven't had the Mexican tooth fairy since because we now live in Tennessee. Before we were in Louisiana, we were a little closer to.
Hey, do you want me to change spots?
Then she'd tell people I got $100 and like, oh my God.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. So $100. It was just 100 pesos, which is like the equivalent to $1. So we're trying to tell her, like, look, you've actually gotten more for as you got older with your teeth.
Hey, Gary.
But she doesn't see it.
Oh, you got in trouble with all the parents with the kids that she went to school with because she'd go telling the kids that she got
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah, I had to.
They go home wondering why their tooth fairy was so cheap.
Hey, Gary, watch this. Gary, watch this. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
She's doing a magic trick. Watch.
Wow, she disappeared.
She's not here. She disappeared. But look.
Whoa. How did that happen?
Oh, now you gotta speak
Whoa,
so
my
it
goodness,
comes up
you're
on
in the
you.
other room. Whoa.
All right, friends, if you're still with us, obviously we have shared something that has piqued your interest. So we're going to ask that you share our podcast, Haunt After Hours, with your haunt families. If you have anything that you'd like to share or contribute to the podcast, please send us an email at hauntafterhours@gmail.com. In the meantime, let's stay connected. And remember,
Do it
Yeah.
you got to do it with more enthusiasm. That's your first time doing it.
Do it for the haunt.